Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are, whenever you are. Welcome to a new Breakout Solutions live stream. I'm your host, Matt Batiri, here with you again today for some Bitcoin technical analysis. So even though we have changed back to our native channel name or our business name, I tend to sometimes slip back to the old ways. All right, nonetheless, let's talk about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin over the last 10 days has been going horizontal, and we're going to look at that range in a little bit more detail in a second. But overall, on a weekly basis, I pointed this out, I think it would have been 2 weeks ago. Yep, I said, hey, look, Bitcoin is forming, or could possibly form, an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is obviously a bullish pattern. In order to do that, what we need from Bitcoin, where's my little head and shoulders? Bitcoin basically needs to, well, I'm going to need to move that one, but basically this is the first shoulder, boom. Right here we have the head, the other shoulder, the head, boom, and there we go. And that's basically an inverse head and shoulders, and you can use the drawing tools on TradingView in order to do that. And normally when you draw an inverse head and shoulders, the price that you can estimate where this head and shoulders breaks out to is up here, $41,800. Now, do we have any confluence with that area? We did speak about obviously the 618 being around $50,000, but we have the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement around about that same price point that I just mentioned. So what does Bitcoin need to do? Well, first of all, I'd love for Bitcoin to at least come back down to 25,000, which is the neckline, to confirm some support, because we obviously rallied from 19,500 to 29,000 in such a short period of time. Obviously, it was just 2 weeks. And usually moves like that, you need to have a bit of a retracement. You need to let people come back into the market that were thinking that we were going to go down to 12,000. People like me, because I did speak about Bitcoin going down to those levels for quite some time. And it's just normal when, like, this initial rally from 15.5 to 25 was, $10,000. You're going to need some pullback and some pullbacks. And right now we've obviously blasted through, but doesn't mean we can't continue. And that's what I want to dive into today's analysis. Can we continue up before having a more decent pullback? Because if we zoom into the daily, you can see that the pullback within the last couple of 5 days ago was only 8%. I know 8% is quite a lot, especially if you're a derivatives trader. But you can see we never really came back down to the head and shoulders, just to confirm that we've obviously want to see this as support. So me personally, I'd love to see that as support. Let's just quickly check on a fixed range volume indicator. Let's see if we have any values around that. Okay, so we have the value area low of this entire run up at 24,700. Now, right now, this is not really a trading zone for me. The only trade that I would take from here is a short, because obviously look at the current movement, and we haven't had a really severe pullback. But that being said, I do think that Bitcoin is kind of looking, it's 50-50 right now in regards to going up or down. I'm not favoring any side. Well, sorry, in regards to favor, I do favor the downside just because we're overextended. But I do have a small inkling that because we've kind of consolidated here for a while, we haven't really dropped down too low. It's probably giving a lot of bulls confidence that they can push the price higher and get a few liquidations to get a large wick to the upside. Because really, this resistance where we are at currently is the 0.236 fib retracement. It's the value area low of this entire previous sideways trading range. As we can see right now, we can see the value area low was 28,715, and we basically tapped that twice, right? So this area is normal that if you had taken along from down here, this is definitely a take profit zone. and you take profit because the pure and simple reason you do think that there could be a reversal. So I think a lot of people are probably thinking like me, but this grinding up, this sideways consolidation is usually quite good, and it's consolidation against a resistance that's not a huge resistance, and which is the 2386, but its resistance, it's a big resistance in the fact that on the 2020-21 bull market, you can see that this was support for two big wicks to the downside. We had a few obviously trailing wicks. So because of that, we will have obviously resistance here because this was strong support. So it's going to be probably strong resistance. So for me, this is what I'm saying is, even though Bitcoin is looking quite strong and wants to break to the upside, there is a fair bit of resistance in regards to previous trading history, but this Fibonacci is not really one that's going to hold down a price point. Normally, what you'll see is you'll tend to see price action have a bigger reaction at the point 382 and the fib retracement. So right now, I'm kind of hoping, of course, that we go much higher. But right now, I've taken profits off the table because we've hit a decent resistance just in this local area. So I'd love the opportunity for the price to come back down, give us a bit of support around 25,400, and then also bust on up to the upside and continue this bullishness, because with all the things happening in the world with banks and the US possibly going to war with China, etc., a lot of people are going to be wanting to move their money around the world as quickly and as effectively and safely as possible, and they can't do that with gold. Bank transfers are going to be quite expensive if they want to go from bank to bank. So crypto is a very good opportunity for them, and as well for people that are losing access to their funds via their bank. They might look at different forms and ways that they can become their own bank and become self-sovereign with their wealth. So crypto is obviously that mainstream carrot being dangled in front of a lot of big investors, and hopefully a lot of them do see the opportunity that crypto possesses to them to move not only their money but maybe secure it away from banks that seem to be collapsing every second day now. So right now, if we continue to get really negative news about banks in the US, I do believe that the price will continue to the upside, because it's just going to be normal, the same way when we're in the bear market. Any form of bad news, Ukraine, Russia war, blah, 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 stimulus checks, created inflation, etc., you're going to have the bear trend. But now that we've seen a clear reversal and clear change of market structure, we've got a low, a high, higher low, higher high. This was a lower low, so this was a bit like, okay, if we then come up and struggle to create a higher high, we might have a market reversal, but we did not. So this was a high, this was a higher low, and now we've created a higher high, and especially on the daily and the weekly, so these are macro timeframes, things are looking quite good for us to continue. It might not be this week, it may not be the week after, but I do believe every pullback is a great opportunity to get into the market if you've missed the first and now the second rise over the last couple of months, ever since the start of the new year. So right now, like I said, Bitcoin is looking fantastic. I am personally buying each dip, selling each major rise, like he sold here and sold here, because as you can see, after this pump, it's a very silly time to keep buying an asset. This is where smart money starts exiting, waits for pullbacks, either buys here, or etc. Anywhere below where they did sell, they're either making more Bitcoin for the price that they sold it at. It's just simple mathematics. And right now we've had this rise, so I'm taking profit. I'm not taking everything off the table, of course, because we can continue to the upside, and I do believe we will. But are we going to have a bit of a pullback? I'd love to see one. Where could we see the pullback come to if we do see a decent pullback? We've got the 382 at 25,347. Look at that. Where does that line up with? The neckline of the inverse head and shoulders, which is great. So pullback to that region would be even better. And then, God forbid, we do have the golden pocket and 786 down here, which are also in line with some imbalances that we have from the rise up. And I went over imbalances last week. So if you want to see and understand what imbalances are, please check out my video from last week. So looks like we've got one comment. Let's have a look. Bugger, I missed the first half. All good. You can watch the replay. So that's not a big problem. Guys, I wanted to show you, obviously, on the lower time frame, the 4-hour time frame, we do have this sideways range that we've been in for the last 10 days. Pure and simple, when you start entering a range, so like here where you come down, come up, or barely make a high, you start forming this range. And if you use this tool, the fixed range volume profile, you can find the value area high, the point of control, and the value area low of the sideways range. So what you'll tend to see is you'll see reactions for selling opportunities at the top of the range, obviously buying or longing opportunities at the bottom, and you just repeat sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, and then if it comes down here, buy, until we see a definite move to the upside or the downside. Your best bet, if you are a day trader, is to get these ranges, short the highs, long the lows, and it's pretty easy. Right now, what am I seeing? Well, on the 4-hour, what I'm seeing is stochastic RSI is crossed over to the downside. If we look at history, that usually is followed by a bit of downside. We have the MACD crossing over bearish. We obviously had 4 drives of bearish divergence. And on market cipher B, the money flow is coming down to the downside. So that's why I said at the start that I'm not really favoring one side because, like anything, Bitcoin loves to do the inverse of what we normally like to think, but I'm predisposed to think that we should come down. I'm looking at that $25,000 region, as I've mentioned a couple of times, right here, 25,400. I'd love to see that. We've got the 382 fib retracement. We've got the neckline of the inverse head and shoulders. So I'd like for the price to do that and then bust on up to that $41,000 price range, which is the 0.5 fib retracement from all-time high to the current lows of 15.5. And so that would be pretty good. And then hopefully hit that 618 at 50,000. All right, there's a bit of hopium for you guys on the Monday. The market looks good. Tonight will be interesting to see what the S&P and the minis, or basically S&P 500 does. So keep an eye on that, how that opens. Right now, it kind of looks like it's holding on by a thread, right? So we broke below that trend line, came back up, and we've reclaimed it as support. But guys, we've obviously changed market structure. So high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Do we continue down? Possibly. But what's been great to see, and finally, is the decoupling of the old traditional financial system to the new traditional finance system, which is cryptocurrencies and blockchain. So if you're not already in the game, now's the time to do it, because big things are going to shake up this world in 2023 and 2024. So don't miss the boat, and make sure you keep your eye on the news. Try and find some of your sources of information on those those platforms that don't what's the word I'm looking for, where they don't block content, free speech content. So make sure you open your eyes to what's actually happening in the world, and don't watch the mainstream media. Try and find some of those alternative channels that are reporting the real news out there. So that's it from me. Catch you guys on Wednesday for the altcoin technical analysis video. That's it from me. Let's see a bit of a pullback with Bitcoin, and then let's bust on through to that $40,000 mark. That's it from me. Catch you guys Wednesday. Bye.